Yeah, 2004, I actually ended up, 2004, I was 24 years old. There was nothing about spirituality or anything about meditation or angels or any of this type of stuff. It was just a regular life. And I was 24 years old. I ended up going to Brazil with my mother because she was in need of a healing, I guess. So I just went with her, and when I arrived there, it was something completely different. It was nothing that I have seen or experienced in my life. I came up to a healer who was doing healing there, and I wasn't even thinking why. I just decided to go there. And once I arrived there, it was a lot of people going there and getting basically dressed in white. And out of curiosity, I just decided to come up. As I came up, he's like, "Would you like to have a surgery?" I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, "Sure," because when I looked at the people, he did two types of surgery. One is visible, the other one is invisible. A visible surgery is where you get like a tool he utilizes to cut you and to remove tumor or any illnesses or any problems that people have. And the invisible one is where you sit down for 10 minutes, they do a prayer, and you just leave. And he said, "Would you like a surgery?" I said, "Sure." So he gets up, and this guy's in a trance, complete trance, comes up to me, sticks his thumb inside my mouth. Out of nowhere, I'm out of my body, standing behind him, looking at myself, completely not understanding what's going on. Meanwhile, he takes the surgical scissors with a round tip on top, puts it into my nose with the bottom of his palm, hits it. As he hits it, I'm still watching myself, and I can feel the scissors hit to the top of my head from the inside. And I'm trying to open my eyes as hard as I can because I'm witnessing this, and it's all happening so fast, and I'm not understanding. And I'm trying to kind of go into my body. I can't because I'm standing behind him, and I look to the side, I see his body, and I see myself. So by the time he twists the scissors one way, twists another way, pulls it out, he says, "Spit." I just spit a little bit of blood, and I'm back in my body. That was my first out of body experience that I had, where from that moment on, uh, I was leaving my body all the time, which I was not even aware. And so it took me many years to really understand what was happening and what was taking place. But through trial and error, I started to play with these things, and that became my interest. That became my life. Everything in the physical reality was, I could not connect or relate to it because it did not feel real. So for about 4 to 5 years, I spent completely in my meditative state, coming out of my body. I was excited to go to bed because that was like coming out of my body. I was going to visit different dimensions, different beings, different solar systems, different parts in the planet. And I started to play an experiment with these things. I started to walk around the streets in the middle of the night, like coming out of my body. Started to have spirits chase me, and it was very interesting stuff. But I was not grounded at all. I was completely disconnected from physical reality, where it brought me to a place where I did not like physical reality. And I had to go backwards to kind of say, okay, how do I go back and enjoy life? Because this is what I'm here for. And that was one of the main things for me, was like, how do I close the gap between the fifth dimension and the 3D reality? Because up there, it is so much fun, it's so exciting, and it's so peaceful. But here in this dimension, a lot of times we tend not to like it because we experience so much bliss out there. So that was my journey, is like, okay, how do I close that gap? Because I myself went completely into the other dimension where physical reality did not matter at all. So that's how it all began for me in 2004. And back then, there was nothing online where you can go to Google and look it up and say, okay, what do I have here? It was MSN Messenger back then. We had flip phones. So Google was just coming on, so YouTube also. And there was nothing much to look for. Like, where do I get this information? So everything for me was trial and error. I constantly just like tried, failed again. I felt completely disoriented, brought myself to balance again. So I constantly kept coming out of the body. And that's when I started to connect to other dimensions, and I started to work with different beings. And different beings, they would come from different solar systems, or different ascended masters, which I was not really aware of. As I went along, I was like, who am I seeing? What am I feeling? What is this name? And then I would start looking up, or I would go to a bookstore. We have a bookstore here in Philly. Garden of Letters is a spiritual bookstore in South Philly. And so I started to kind of go to that place to find answers. And I would just grab books, and I would not have to read them, because those books, I would just instantaneously connect to the consciousness of the author. And I was able to experience the wisdom that they had within their books. So for next 4 or 5 years, that was it. My parents thought I was crazy. My friends kind of all disconnected. Had no interest in anything physical at all. And that's how my journey began.
Things have taken a pretty wild turn already, which I like. So, can I just go back to so what actually led you to that teacher? So why did you go to Brazil in the first place? I mean, it was for your mother's healing, but why did you choose that place, or was it that person in particular, or just that place? How did that come about?
They heard of this healer, in Brazil. So I was not aware of this. My dad couldn't go. So he's like, you go with your mom. So I went with my mom and my uncle, uh, as basically just their support. But I never thought that I was gonna have this experience or have anything like that. I was like, okay, I'm going to Brazil. I'm gonna leave them there. They're healer. Um, let them do all this mumbo jumbo stuff, and I'm out. I'm 24 years old. I'm thinking how to go out, have fun, and party. So, the life of a regular 24-year-old.
Yeah. So I've had one out of body experience myself, so I get and a lot of guests have said this. Once you've actually had that experience, it's like, wow, this is a really amazing place. Like, I just want to be a tourist here all the time. Um, so, how did you? When did you realize? Okay, I'm just spending way too much time here. I'm obsessing over this. How did you get to that point? What was it? What was that like?
So there was basically to a point where I was already 4 or 5 years into this, and I wasn't able to relate to people. I found this reality really horrible, complex, abusive, distorted. I did not want to do anything with humans. I couldn't connect to people because I became extra sensitive, to the point where if I would stand next to a person or be in an environment of people, I start to feel things. I was feeling their pains, their traumas, their attachments, all kinds of things. That became very complex. I wasn't able just to resonate to people at all. But I enjoyed being in the other dimension. And then one time I remember Saint Germain came through. And that what really shifted me was when I read the autobiography of Saint Germain, the Ascended Master. In his autobiography, it was like this guy was spiritual. He owned hospitals, schools, he was wealthy, and all the things. And it came to me, I was like, wow, wait a minute. If I came to this reality, that means my body, my soul needs me to be here and experience my life to the fullest potential. If I'm not experiencing to the full potential, then I'm not full potential of God. So that's when I started to say, okay, how do I change this? What do I need to do within myself? What's really happening? And I started to ask these questions to my own self to see how I need to ground myself. So I noticed was that my upper centers, the chakra systems, the glands at an upper level were operating at a high frequency, but my lower centers were not at all. It was like basically I had a pyramid built upwards, but no pyramid downwards. So I couldn't really connect to this physical reality because everything was judgment. And if we can see also, once we start becoming awakened, it's like, well, this is of God, this is not of God, this is good, this is bad. This is spiritual. This is not spiritual. But the whole purpose of us is to find spirituality in everything. So then I started to notice that any thoughts that were separated or beliefs, they were actually creating the pain for me because the judgment in my mind was creating the pain. And I started to work on that. So I was like, okay, started to work on my judgment. I started to work on my emotions. But during that same time period, I was working with the blue beings in the astral plane, which started to teach me about the chakra systems in the energy fields. So during that time period, they taught me about the emotional, mental body, astral body, the causal body, the galactic body, the universal body. And what is that really? These are energy fields around us. So we are like a human being. We have this one physical body, but then we have the aura, and the auric field has layers in it. So they started to show me these different layers and different chakra systems within the layers and how they operate and the energy operates between them. So that's when my interest began going deeper. So I was basically in a spiritual astral school every single day. That was my thing. I was like, okay, I couldn't wait to go back into meditation, go back into a deeper state of consciousness in order to connect and learn this. That's how I started to connect to different ascended masters, different Melchizedek consciousness, all the different names that we have for the Metatron, and it's actually just different forms of consciousnesses within our own self. As I started to explore that, I started to understand, okay, wait a minute. There is a big shift that's taking place in my field. I'm able to change my karmic patterns, heal myself, transform things, attract things, and it's all based on these energy bodies. It does not have to do as much as my physical mind or me doing stuff here. It is setting up the energy field in order to do stuff on the physical reality. And that's when I was like, okay, so I got to pave the wave energetically and then take action. Because for the first 4 or 5 years, I was sitting in meditation. It's like, okay, God, give me a piece of gold, gold drop on my lap, going into this deep meditative state completely in that realm. And it was like, do you guys have money up there? Like, no. Then why are you guys always telling me what to do and where to go? And I got like really